Hello everybody, welcome to Snyder's Inc. Today we got a different reaction video for you. We're not doing Mr. Ballin. We're not gonna do Mr. Ballin. We're gonna take a break from him. Not like a break. I won't do him for a really long time. Just today I'm gonna do the video. Cause I came across this channel, I thought it'd be interesting to go down it. Channel is called Twisted Minds. It has 474,000 subscribers. They go to true crime stuff. So we'll go react to them. This is one called The Corrupt Cop Turned Serial Killer. I'm not going to try to say the guy's name because I'll get it wrong. So we're going to get right into this. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And let's get right into this.
Back to Twisted Minds. My name's James, and today we're going to be talking about a man who, for 25 long years, terrorized the streets of Ukraine, whom later confessed to killing over 100 people.
Woo! That's a lot of people you killing.
His name is Serhiy Tkach, also known as the notorious Hologovsky Maniac. This vile human began his spree in 1980 and was finally stopped in August 2005. He was able to remain undetected for all of those years because of a valuable skill set.
He has a very unique set of skills. That's all that comes to my mind when I see valuable or unique skill set. I have a very unique set of skills.
Which gave him expert knowledge on how to clean up a crime scene. This allowed the man to quench his thirst for sexual gratification from both the living and dead. Yep, this is going to get really sick really fast.
Well, viewer discretion advised for the fucking weirdness this dude's about to fucking do.
Serhiy Tkach was born on September 12, 1952 in the city of Kysylyovsk, Kimirvorsk Oblast, Russia. He was a good student in school, although he was not interested in higher education. After his school days, he told friends and neighbors that he had served in the army during the Soviet intervention in Afghanistan. This was a big fat lie, although he did do compulsory military service in the Soviet army between 1970 and 1972. After his time in the military, he went back to studying and eventually became a criminal investigator with the Kimirvorsk police force. That was a career move that, in a cruel twist of fate, allowed him to go undetected instead of protecting innocent lives. That doesn't mean he wasn't good at his job, however. He was considered an excellent officer and even got a recommendation for the intelligence agency school. Could you imagine the cover-up techniques he would have learned if he had become an agent? His murderous ways could have carried right until he retired. Oof, that gives me chills. Part of his job was conducting forensic exhumations, which is a really disturbing detail when you consider that many victims of his future sexual crimes were dead. In 1979, he was fired for tampering with evidence and was forced to move to Ukraine. Here, Tkach took on various jobs, such as coal mining and industrial plant work. He was also an avid bodybuilder, gained strength that no doubt came handy for his murderous deeds. Tkach is definitely a man who had lived an interesting life, as he married 4 times throughout his lifetime. All of these relationships ended due to him being a nasty drunk and poor treatment of his wives. Even though he was cruel to them, you'll consider them the lucky ones when you find out what this monster did to other women and children. In 1982, after a couple of years of odd jobs, he moved to Ukraine and managed to get another job working for the police force again. Are job references not a thing in Ukraine? I mean, falsifying evidence and getting booted out of the police force is something that should have come up during his interview, right? It was during this time the true horrors began. Using his extensive knowledge of forensics and the law to cover up his soon-to-be 25-year reign of terror.
This is how he becomes the horrible person that he would come out to be because he was a police officer. He understood how to get away with it. Oh man, it's like people don't like police officers, man.
In 1984, when he was aged around 32, Serhiy Tkach began his killing spree. He would rob, essay, and strangle his victims in no precise order. In fact, he was known to kill his victims before the essay took place. The Poligovsky maniac would pick out his targets, usually aged between 8 and 18, and would lure.
That's messed up. That's messed the F up. What the hell? What a you fucked up piece of shit. Fuck you. Fuck you, dude.
Lure them into isolated places to perform his unthinkable acts. Yep, as young as that. In fact, according to police reports, Tkach is believed to have murdered at least 37 children and performed SA on 8 others in eastern Ukraine.
I hope that guy rots in hell. Oh, I hope you rot in hell, you son of a bitch. Oh, rot in hell.
Because of the young ages of his victims, their names were never publicly released. Information on the earlier known victims are limited, but include a woman in 1980 who was killed in Simferopol, Crimea. One reason Tkach got away with his murders is simply because he used his police knowledge to frame others for the crimes. In 1982, he took the life of a woman in Zaporizhzhia, Ukraine, and blamed a man named Vitaly Cairo for the murder. In 1989, he killed and essayed a 9-year-old girl named Olga Svetlichny and framed her own father for this sickening acts. This gets worse, as Vladimir eventually hung himself in the year 2000 as a result of being framed and charged guilty.
Wow, so this guy blamed this girl's own father, and he ended up hanging himself because he was so guilty. He was not even guilty, he couldn't handle the fact that he had done it and was found guilty from it. What a piece of shit this Trump is. Fuck him.
Another 9-year-old, Jana Popovich, lost her life at the hands of this animal, with her cousin Jacob Popovich taking the fall. A 17-year-old girl named Svetlana Starostina was killed in 2004 by Tkach, who then planted evidence to frame Maxim Dmytrenko. In August 2004, the cold-blooded killer took the life of another 9-year-old and also tried to frame her father for the crime. Another man who was framed for one of the murders, Yakiv Polovoch, was just 14 when he was convicted and spent 8 long years paying for a crime he didn't commit. In total, it is believed that at least 6 men were serving time for Tkach's crimes. While destroying or tampering with evidence, he would leave victims near railway lines that had been recently treated with fresh tar, so that it would throw the police dogs off his scent. Also, he would leave bodies on long stretches of road that left Ukraine, so that the police believed travelers, truckers, and homeless people were to blame. The Ukrainian police were quick to believe Tkach's tricks, as they were pressured to solve a certain amount of crimes per month so that they could keep their jobs and earn hefty bonuses.
Oh, so they're somewhat corrupt in the sense that they have to do it certain much, but that's also because in order to keep the job, they have to do a certain amount of months. So if they're going with thing, they'll just go with whatever he says to get the amount of cases done and be able to keep the jobs and all that. He knows what he's doing, as much as I hate him, and I hate him so much.
Because of all of this rushed mentality, cases would often get muddled up and suspects were tortured for confessions, resulting in those who weren't guilty to be locked away and cases to be closed. Using the knowledge he gained during his time as a criminal investigator, Tkach became an incredibly effective serial killer who targeted young females. He would expertly press their carotid artery until they died of asphyxiation, and then would essay them before and after they were murdered. After satisfying his twisted hunger, Tash would clean up the crime scene by removing his semen from the victim and erasing his footprints. Like all of the worst serial killers, Tash enjoyed taking clothing, jewelry, and makeup as trophies. So, how did someone so good at murder finally get caught? Well,
I guarantee you, he made one mistake. Because that's always how it goes. He made one mistake that he shouldn't have made. Now one mistake got him caught. That's what it is. That's always what it is.
Well, Tash got too comfortable with inflating and destroying lives.
He got caught.
Serhiy Tash broke his murderous spree when he made a very silly decision in 2005, when he attended the funeral of his friend's 9-year-old daughter. As he stood around taking pleasure in his friend's grief, a friend of the deceased happened to look over and recognize the man who had been talking to the girls prior to the abduction. Can you imagine the terror that filled that friend? After realizing that he had been spotted, Tash quickly left the funeral, but was too late and police arrested him later that day.
So he made the one mistake. One mistake was he attended the funeral to watch the one guy suffer. But someone else recognized him, and that's what caused it. Ooh, one mistake always caused the downfall, man.
At his home. Dozens of his trophies were found at his house, which led to the discovery that he was responsible for many murders, multiple of which were cold cases or those that were blamed on other men. He was arrested on the 1st of August 2005 at the age of 52 and was convicted on December 23, 2008.
Good.
He was locked up at prison number 8 of Zhytomyr in Ukraine. He was eventually convicted of 29 counts of murder and 11 counts of attempted murder. Tash actually demanded the death penalty, but since the fall of the Soviet Union, the death penalty had been abolished. Because of this, he got life imprisonment instead. When asked why he did all the dreadful acts, he said that he did it as a form of revenge on women for the way he was treated by his ex-wives. He then later changed his mind and said he did it for sexual pleasure and to mock his police colleagues. Serhiy Tash was a disturbed maniac who acted out his sadistic fantasies at the expense of innocent young girls who were robbed of their future.
I absolutely agree. He is a sadistic maniac, and thank God he got caught. I'm sorry, my eyes really bothered me.
They say that anyone can find love, even a serial killer who has taken more lives than he has had hot dinners. Tash's last love interest was a 16-year-old girl called Alina, who had seen the imprisoned man during his TV trial and wanted to meet and speak with him. I mean, everyone loves a bad boy, right? She eventually wrote a letter to him and got a reply. After 6 months of flirting on paper, Alina moved from the Russian city of Yaroslavl to Zhytomyr in Ukraine to become closer to the serial killer. In their first date in prison, the two were only allowed to talk by phone, separated by a glass window. 2 months later, the two had their second date in which they were allowed to have a nice and cozy private room. This is how their daughter, Elizaveta, was conceived in 2016. Some people just don't believe.
I'm also about to be confused because, like, this guy is a person who kills young girls. Why are you letting a young girl around it? What? This guy kills young girls. His entire thing is he kills young girls. Why are you letting a young girl near this goddamn man?
Believe in the third date rule, I guess. When interviewed, Alina said that she was happy with her sex life with a man almost 4 decades her senior. In an interview, Tash said that when his partner gets to visit, they enjoy combining work with pleasure, adding that he has a strong seed. I mean, we knew this guy was twisted, but hearing him say stuff like this is just the cherry on top. Wearing his robe, the lovebirds eventually got married in a ceremony conducted in the prison, creating quite the unorthodox family. Alina's parents did try and strip the young mother of the custody of her child by appealing to the Russian courts, but were not successful. Tash once described in detail how he would dismember anyone who would attempt to hurt his child. Considering the messed up past of this serial killer, I think he meant it. Alina was hoping that her husband and baby daddy would live happily ever after once an early release was secured for him. In fact, they believed that his age, health, and having a child would allow him to walk free to live a life on the shores of Lake Baikal.
That's not how it works, man. You don't get to do that. You're gonna suffer the rest of your life in prison. Because your ass deserves to live the rest of your life in prison.
Why didn't they set their goal even higher? Why not aim for a condo in Middle Earth or a timeshare in Narnia? It's not like it's any less likely to happen for a serial killer. So how could the killer of children be trusted around his own? Well, Alina was unfazed by the charges because, and I quote, "They were not my children." She also said that it is she who people should be scared of. Now I'm starting to see what attracted these crazy kids to each other.
This girl's messed the fuck up. Come and get this girl away from children. This girl's messed up as all as he is. What the fuck? That's fucked up. This girl's fucked up as well as he is. They're both fucked up. There's a fucked up couple.
Alina also once said in an interview that she was happy that women were scared of Tash because it's less competition for her. Yeah, I'm sure everyone was lining up outside the prison for the 66-year-old creep. If you're still unsure why these two found love, then I will shed a little bit more light on Alina so you can understand why. As all devoted wives would do, Alina once said that she would have helped him bury the bodies of his victims if she had met him earlier. So next time your other half asks you to take out the trash or do the washing up, just think of the dedication that Alina had, and those jobs won't seem so bad. Alina also claimed that she thought about contracting the Russian-backed Milita in the East Country to blow up the prison so that Tash could escape and the family could live happily ever after. It's worth stating that Alina also tried to make contact with other notorious convicts, so it seems that this killer groupie doesn't mind who she is with as long as they are evil enough.
What a messed up girl this girl is. She's too messed up. Needs some help. Needs some mental help.
It seems that the bad boy appeal of the serial killer wore off in 2018, when Alina stopped seeing Serhiy. In fact, she deleted all of her social media accounts after posting that she was going underground because the secret world government, Illuminati, Zionists were stalking her. In November, just months after Alina's last visit, Serhiy Tash died of a heart attack at the age of 66. A prison official said that it was of a broken heart that killed Serhiy. If he did die of a broken heart, it is an ironic death, as he was responsible for so much heartache throughout his lifetime. Tash's remains were buried in an unmarked grave in a cemetery for the homeless and people who cannot be identified for their crimes. The ceremony is also where Anatoly Onoparenko, who is known as the Beast of Ukraine, was buried. Before his death in 2013, he admitted to the murder of 52 people. Onoparenko and Tash were once cell block mates until the death of the former, who also died from heart failure. So it seems that Tash and his friend have now been reunited once again. Only this time, his prison will be a lot hotter, and their sentence will last for an eternity. Thanks for tuning in.
That's just a bunch of messed up people. Everybody, thank you all for watching this reaction. I hope you all enjoyed it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Comment what you think of this story down below. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you for the next one.